Rijiju, he carries conviction in his words and commitment in his work. His sharp sense of judgment has always been driven by national pride and a vision for unity. Even as a young MP, at the age of 33, he actively ensured that the voice of the Northeast was never subdued. It's a testament to his ability to deliver that he has served in all the cabinets of the Modi government since 2014. And as the Law Minister of India, he has repeatedly asserted that the judiciary and the executive will have to work like a team to achieve the objective of a developed India by 2047. Ladies and gentlemen, we have the Law Minister of India, Mr. Kiren Rijiju, for a conversation with Shravan Sen and Rhythm Anand Bharadwaj.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, I must say that we've had a great session in the last few days, and just before the penultimate, we have how it should be, one of the most charismatic leaders of Prime Minister Modi's cabinet. Union Minister Kiren Rijiju never pulls back his punches, if I may say so, and someone who loves sports. And why not? A little known fact, he still keeps newspaper clippings all the way from 1900 Olympics in Paris to even as recent the last Olympics. That's the level of passion he essentially has. And of course, for people like us who've come from the Northeast, I think so he's considered the rock star parliamentarian. Thank you very much, Union Minister Kiren Rijiju. Let me straight away begin by asking, and Rhythm will also join us. आप कहते हैं कि you are not in a fight. There is no tussle between the government and the judiciary. And we are talking about time of transformation. Your first big task was already about reforms. How do you view that?
Thank you very much. I'm honored to be here with the entire team and such a wonderful audience. First of all, reforms and also transformation, which is main hallmark of Modi government, it's happening. And I can just begin with one particular sector of reform, but I must tell that the effort to make people access to justice, to make people's life simple, easy, all necessary steps which are to be taken, we have initiated. And the results are there to see. Just now, Gadkariji also was talking about how things are changing in the country. These all are possible because we have absolutely people-friendly legislation and citizen-centric policies. So these combined, I am also mindful of my duty to ensure that my ministry, that is Ministry of Law and Justice, do not become obstacle in the progress, but we really facilitate the people and for the growth of the country. So with that primary objective, I feel that we are doing what is necessary to be done.
Sir, I also wanted to ask you, taking off from what Shravan asked you, there are a lot of people today, a powerful coterie, like I asked Mr. Jethmalani some time back, a powerful coterie of lawyers and activists who are always in an anti-India flavor, talking about India. Whether it's not giving a proper rational critique of a judgment, or whether it is going ahead and just criticizing the judges or the judgment. This gang is getting more vocal. I'll give you an example. The Sai Baba case was here, sir, and then Mr. Kapil Sibal spoke about it, and he said the judiciary is silent. It's no longer the most vocal system. A lot of them have started talking so much. What would your message to this gang be, and how do we solve this tukre gang problem?
See, you must realize one thing. India is a very loud democracy. Everybody has a potential to become something and also to speak out minds. Free speech is there. Everybody is doing whatever is, allowed under the law. What you are referring to is, at times I feel that majority of the people are silent, and minority, I can say minuscule of a group, they are more loud. They try to set the narratives. They try to create a situation which is not conducive for nation's growth. Because today it is a globalized world. If India's image is tarnished anywhere in the world, the impact can be felt any other locations. So whether it's in India or abroad, I feel when it comes to national interest, we will not compromise. That is why you must have observed in past few months, I had made certain comments which some people did not take it in a positive way. But I had to say certain things which is in the national interest, I must say. Whether he is from judiciary or from any civil society, people may not take it in a good sense. But I feel the gang which you're referring to, I don't want to call them a gang anymore. But definitely there are a caucus. There is a calibrated effort made by that group to tarnish the image of the nation. And it has been happening since long time. India being a democratic country, within the country there are people who work against the national interest. And this is a fact.
Minister Rijiju, let's also talk a little bit about when the Modi government came to power. One of the big ticket projects that you're talking about was, of course, the judicial reforms. And then with the collegium system versus NGAC fight that essentially took place, how do you see this going ahead? Because the government seems to have been making it abundantly clear that there should be a foot on the door.
Well, this is a subject which is so sensitive that if I speak out something, there will be some kind of reactions which will lead to some controversies. I don't want to really make it a controversial issue, but let me make a very quick points which I feel is very important to make it in this very learned audience here. We are a government which has given maximum space and respect to the judiciary. In last close to 9 years now, we have not taken a single step which will undermine the independence of judiciary. And independence of judiciary is absolutely necessary in democracy. If democracy has to flourish, then independence of judiciary cannot be compromised with. We are not only concerned about independence of judiciary, but we are also working to strengthen the judiciary. Now, the question comes when there are certain elements within the judiciary. When you get into the domain of executive or legislature, then certainly as a law minister, I will have to make my point very, very clearly, very firmly. I don't want to sound arrogant, but let me be very clear that whatever I speak, I will speak on the basis of what is being allowed under the Constitution, under the law, and what is expected of the law minister. That much I speak. If some people don't like it, I can't help it, but I have to speak out whatever is necessary as a law minister.
Sure. And sir, of course, you've called the collegium system opaque. The vice president has now said it's compromising parliamentary sovereignty. But I want to go to the theme of today's summit, that is transformation. When it comes to social transformation, there is a marathon hearing in the Supreme Court. The same-sex marriage case is heard. The centre says the parliament will legislate. What's your take when the petitioners say it is our right to love?
First of all, I don't want to make it as a government versus the judiciary. It is not, absolutely not. We being in the government, so we have to make a point. Our law officers are representing government's view, but this is not at all a matter between the court and the government. It is a matter which concerns every citizen of India. It is the question of people's will. The will of the people is reflected in the parliament or in the legislature, in assemblies, and in different forums where we have elected people. Right up to Panchayat level, if 5 wise men decide something which is correct according to them, I cannot make any kind of adverse comments against them. But if people don't want it, you can't impose things on the people. And a sensitive and important matter like the institution of marriage has to be decided by the people of the country. Supreme Court definitely has the power to issue certain directions. Under Article 142, they can make law also. If there are some vacuum, if they feel they want to fill up with certain provisions, they can it. But when it comes to a matter which affects every citizen of the country, then Supreme Court is not the forum to decide on behalf of the people of the country.
Minister Rijiju, because when you made that statement about judges not facing the elections, the fact of the matter is that it was somewhere down the line misconstrued to a certain extent, because you were essentially trying to talk about the fact that you are essentially representing the will of the people. What is it that they feel? And just to add to that, in our country, when it comes to justice, sometimes it feels very elusive. The very fact that there is pendency of cases, you talked about appointment of judges. What is it that you would like to say on that?
See, when I talk about all these things, it's not in isolation. Some of the remarks about the judges not getting into electoral fray, these are remarks I made in front of the Chief Justice of India, all the Supreme Court judges, all the High Court Chief Justices and other judges. This is very simple and plain. Constitution do not provide judges to be elected. And judges do not sit in exams to become a judge. But at the same time, we all are constantly under the scrutiny of the people's assessment. That is why I said that if we falter somewhere, we will be dismissed by the people. We have to go back to the people every 5 years. I have been member of parliament since 2004. By the grace of the God, people's blessing, I'm getting elected again and again. But tomorrow, in next election, people want to dislodge me, they can. But there's no mechanism to change the judge. In fact, we don't have the accountability of the judges in India. There's no system. So that is why I said, even if there is no accountability on the conduct of the judges, but people are watching, there is assessment. In this social media age, nobody can get away from people's eyes. That is my point. That means, including the judges, everybody must be careful while dealing anything which is sensitive and important and concerning the interests of the people.
I'll just take one follow-up question, because why do I get this sense that you are looking for a solution, but you're not being able to get it right now? So I'm asking you very directly, does the government have any plans of introducing a bill for bringing back NJAC? Because the criticism that you faced from the opposition parties was the fact that you are finding ways, some way or the other, to get your foot in, and that could be the solution. What's the solution?
No, there is a very unique situation we are into today. The Constitution of India is there. Until or unless the Parliament amends the Constitution, the provisions remain there. So when it comes to the appointment of judges, the Constitution is very clear. So without amending the provisions of the Constitution, Supreme Court, through its constitutional bench, changed the provision without any amendment. So there are sometimes I feel that we really need to have a very serious negotiation. Of course, I am in touch with the collegium. The ball is in their court. I have sent the new proposal. What are to be changes required in the memorandum of the procedure for the appointment of the judges? Because once you appoint a judge, you can't do anything. Only Parliament can impeach the judge. Nobody else can remove a judge. But during our tenure, you have seen it. There's not a single motion of impeachment against any single judge. So that is why what I feel is, not only the collegium system or not only the memorandum of procedure, but in the long term, sometime in the future, we will have to think about accountability of the judges to be fixed through a proper system. Otherwise, what is democracy? We all are answerable to the people. If anybody is above any criticism or beyond people's assessment, this is not a sign of a healthy democracy. That is why I feel this will come up in the future. But as long as the collegium system is being practiced, I want to ensure that it is used in a best possible manner as far as possible. That is why there are some calibrated effort to malign the good intention of the government. When I wrote a letter to the Chief Justice of India saying that we need to do some update as per the Constitution Bench order, but this was misconstrued by some people saying that Law Minister wants government's person to be there in the collegium. How can I appoint somebody to sit in the collegium? Collegium is consisting of the senior judges. So this kind of unfounded, malicious campaign, that is not good. That is why in last one of the media conclave, I had stated that some of the people, including those who had served in the judiciary, are doing disservice to the judiciary itself.
Yes, that's true. That is something I could have spoken about as well. The Keshavananda Bharati judgment, 50 years to a glorious judgment, 703-page judgment, one of the longest heard cases, the 11 judicial opinions. It spoke about the basic structure of the constitution. It spoke about the doctrine of separation of powers. Where do you think the Lakshman Rekha is between the executive and the judiciary?
The Lakshman Rekha is to be self-observed. From the government side, we have not crossed Lakshman Rekha, and we will never. There were governments in the past which indeed crossed the Lakshman Rekha. When the mass transfers of the judges did happen, when the seniorities were superseded, all those things happened in the past, not under Modiji's regime. We will be very mindful that we will be completely guided by the spirit of the Constitution. But I expect this from judiciary also. We did not get into each other's territory, whether it's a Keshavananda Bharati case or any other so-called very defining ruling of the Supreme Court. If we confine to the role given by the Constitution, there's no question of any tussle or so-called confrontation. We will never do that from our side, and we will, in a private, all the judges I met, they are very comfortable with me. They know that my intention is very clean. Our government's objective is very, very clear. Service to the people, justice to the common man. This is a common agenda of judiciary and executive. This is not the prerogative of the judiciary or the executive or legislature alone. So there is absolutely no problem with the judiciary, with the government. The fissures which you see, these are all artificially created by certain group of people, which I have already talked about in the past in detail. But what I can say is that our relationship with judiciary is absolutely normal and very, very useful in terms of combining together and delivering justice to the poor and common people of the country.
Mr. Rijiju, I think so it will be very unfair if we really do not speak about the Northeast for two reasons. One, the fact that you come from there. Second, the fact that this network is run by a gentleman who comes from the Northeast. And the very fact earlier in the day, the Chief Minister of Assam made a beautiful comment that anything that starts from the Northeast is always very successful. Hence, I'm asking this. You just recently had a visit, and all of us who are from the Northeast, we say that you've brought it to the limelight. Of course, along with Chief Minister of the Assam also, somewhere down the line under the Modi government, we have essentially seen the kind of transformation.
That is the word. Transformation is the appropriate term you can use at this point of time. Across Northeast, I came back from Arunachal just a couple of days back, launching 256 mobile towers, which will provide 4G network to every household in the entire border areas. The Mission 500, which was launched by the Honorable Prime Minister, means within 500 days, no household, I'm not talking about the village, no household will be left unconnected. That means physical connection, and all important schemes of Government of India will be reaching out to the people. The Vibrant Village program, which was launched by the Home Minister just last week from one of the remote corner in Arunachal Pradesh, that will transform the border villages. Because till 2014, there was a serious crisis all along the border areas because there was a thinning of population. People are migrating towards the foothills and the district headquarters, and they are abandoning the total that border areas. So it is a very serious situation where only uniformed armed forces people are guarding the territory, but civilians have left because there are no roads, no school, no light, nothing. Now we are pushing back people, thereby creating all the basic amenities making available in those areas. It is very difficult to describe in such a short span of time, but if I have to speak about the development in the border areas in, say, half an hour, then I can clearly elaborate. I can properly make you understand that what is all that transformation which is taking place. I'm proud that when I became, as a young member of parliament, I used to literally shout in the parliament why Government of India can't understand the problems which we are facing. But now, you don't need to shout. Modi ji is giving more than what people are asking. This is the change we are seeing.
A quick answer: when Rahul Gandhi says that 2,000 square kilometer of land has already been given, what will you tell him? That's the last question that we would like to
the last question, you took the name of Rahul Gandhi. This is very wrong. Because if you start responding to what Rahul Gandhi says, you will lose your own way because he has no understanding about the ground realities. Whatever he speaks doesn't have a head and tail. He just make irrelevant comments. So if we keep responding to whatever he says, it will be totally, futile exercise to clarify. He is the one who should be, because he is a Congress leader, he should be the one who should be telling the people that why did Congress government follow the policy of not developing the border areas. He's talking about Chinese army occupying Indian territory. His party, Congress party, had this policy not to develop the border areas because they thought that is the best defense policy. Not making roads and infrastructure will prevent the Chinese from occupying our territory. This kind of, unbelievable policies which the then government had propounded and which caused so much of, loss to our territory. But under Modiji's regime, we don't need to just shout on the top of the world and say, but our border, every inch of Indian border is safe and secured.
Yes, absolutely. In fact, sir, as he spoke in the last questions there's a lot about China that I'm sure Mr. Gurumurthy, Mr. Jethmalani, who talk about China, would say also on this. But I do want to thank you, and I also want to say, I think the one message that all of us here, when we've heard you, are left with is that this is a country that's moving towards transformation and nationalism. This is not something about just one judiciary or one government. This is about us as a unified whole moving together. So thank you for that, sir.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Rijiju, for that candid conversation. Thank you, Rhythm and Shavan. Ladies and gentlemen, please remain where you are. The doors are going to be locked now. You will not be allowed to move out until
RP Sanjeev Goenka Group presents Republic Summit, Time of Transformation, co-powered by Ravin Group, manufacturers of electric cables and solar systems. Bharosa rakho, surakshit raho. Mind Super App and beyond. LIC, हर पल आपके साथ. Knowledge Partner, Amrita Vishwa Vidyapeetham, Education for Life, Education for Living. Infrastructure partner Rungta Steel TMT Bar, ekdam solid. MSME partner You Grow Capital. Defense partner Paras Defense and Space Technologies Limited, a premier defense engineering company. Healthcare partner Scanray, nothing is opaque. Travel partner Ease My Trip, take it easy. Nutrition partner Skirrup, the protein superfood of Vikings. Prayer partner Z Black 3-in-1 Premium Agarbatti, Prathana Hogi Swikar.